but this is from Bloomberg by way of Yahoo Finance, entitled "Tight U.S. Housing Market Uncoils with Sellers Ready to Cash Out." So I thought that was a really compelling title. Are sellers ready to cash out? And so I know we're going to talk about it in a broader sense from this article, but also, right, you're going to bring it down to a local level.
For sure, yeah.
And this comes really from a question that germinated from one of our clients who was looking out and trying to look around the corner in terms of future. So very appropriate.
It's a constant in real estate. You never stop looking around the corner. But you're always guessing. I mean, that request from that client started by saying, "I know you don't have a crystal ball, but," right. And that's a very common approach. We don't, but you're still trying to predict the future. Yep. And this article brings some really good perspective to what's becoming a little more of a balanced market. It's not there yet by any means, but it's moving in that direction.
Okay. Well, let me get started on it. So that first chart there is titled "Unlocking Inventory. Available listings finally start to rise after plunging to a record low." So you can see there from 2019 to now, there is a trend going up. And we'll actually be able to show that as we get into solds and actives. So, all right, prospective home sellers who sat tight as U.S. prices climbed higher and faster than ever during the pandemic are finally emerging to cash out, a step towards easing a dire shortage in the frenzied housing market. The number of U.S. homes for sale climbed 6.7% in early June from the same weekly period in May, according to House, an investment platform for home buyers. That was the biggest increase since COVID-19 lockdowns took hold last year. Listings rose in 54 of the 100 metropolitan areas measured, including the regions around Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Detroit, Denver, and Seattle. Sellers are saying, "It's time, let's make the money," said Julie Welter, an agent with eXp Realty in Pittsburgh, which had the biggest supply increase in houses data. With the world opening up again and the vast majority of people being vaccinated, it has given a new comfort level to people. The housing market is a long way from normal, with inventory still down almost 38% from a year earlier and near historic lows. But with bidding wars erupting from coast to coast, and any sign of increased supply is a welcome respite from buyers. More listings also may help ease a problem contributing to the scarcity. Sellers staying put because it's a struggle to find something else to purchase. Throughout the pandemic, home buyers clamored to take advantage of record low mortgage rates and job flexibility to move, only to find the scant homes available were quickly being swallowed up. The median U.S. existing home price shot up 19% in April from a year earlier to a record $341,600, according to the National Association of Realtors, helping owners gain equity. The end of lockdowns also is bringing out sellers who were reluctant to have home shoppers traipsing through their kitchens and bedrooms. Some people also are eager to move closer to the families that COVID kept them away from for too long, said Ralph McLaughlin, chief economist at House. People who were thinking about selling in 2 or 3 years may have accelerated their plans, McLaughlin said. They're selling now to realize the 20% equity they've gained in the past year. Shauna Pendleton, a Redfin agent in Boise, Idaho, said 35 sellers have talked to her this year about listing properties. That's about twice as many as in the same time in 2020, she said. The area has seen some of the fastest price growth in the country, with homes values up 42% in early June from a year earlier, according to Redfin. These are mostly retirees, Pendleton said of her new seller clients. The lockdown has given people a whole new perspective about where they want to live, and they're missing their family. The Allentown, Pennsylvania region, a hot market for New Yorkers and New Jerseyans looking for a more affordable area, has seen listings climb 30% from extremely low levels in early May, according to House, which excluded homes that are under contract from its data. With houses going for well over the asking price, many locals are now being tempted into selling and moving to cheaper spots elsewhere in the state, said Tim Tepps, president of the Greater Lehigh Valley Realtors Group. Even as new listings are rising, homes are quickly finding buyers, he said. cooling prices. McLaughlin said he expects U.S. home price growth to slow to less than 10% by the end of the year. Demand may also cool as buyers are priced out, especially if borrowing costs start to rise, he said. Federal Reserve officials indicated this week that they expect 2 interest rate increases by the end of 2023, sooner than many thought. The same force leading to new supply may be the same force that reduces the ability of home buyers to keep interested in buying the home. McLaughlin said that's mainly rising prices. The market for newly built houses may also be easing. Home builders have been jacking up prices because demand was too high for them to keep up with. Now, some buyers are feeling a bit of sticker shock, said Ali Wolf, chief economist for Zonda, a home building data provider and consultancy. About 40% of builders surveyed by Zonda in May listed buyer hesitancy among their challenges, up from about 20% the month before. As a result, the new home market has gone from unbearably hot to just hot, she said. In Austin, Texas, agents are reaching out to homeowners by phone and text, telling them how much they can make by selling. That message is starting to resonate, said Alex Wright, an agent with Local Life Realty. Wright, who grew up in the area, says her childhood best friend's parents, now in their 60s, want to move to the Midwest to be closer to her grandmother. Austin isn't the same place anymore. It has gotten expensive, and there's a line for everything from tacos to coffee, not to mention housing, she said. Wright says her buyers welcome more choice, but winning a home is still a challenge. It's still crazy competitive, she said. All right, there you go.
Gosh, we've just been fortunate to find some articles that really take a broad perspective and in my opinion, pull together all the nuances of what's moving the market in different directions.
Right.
Clearly, you know, starting early on, you're showing that chart and showing an uptrend, and you know, today we're going to basically say, yeah, this is it. We're calling it, just like this article did, and we were ready to do so. I think we have 8+ weeks of listing, more actives than solds, which is an increase in inventory is the bottom line.
Yeah.
And when you have it for a certain amount of time, it is a trend. Doesn't mean it can't reverse, but it's clearly a trend. So you know, it's funny. They say, I remembered this early on in my work career. This, you know, when you give something to somebody, taking it away is the hardest thing. And I think a lot of these trends are somewhat based on that, Joe. I think you gave a slowdown to people. You forced them to slow down, man. Mm-hmm. And now people are like, shit, I don't want to give that back to you. I don't want you to take that away.
Right.
You know? So what we've been hearing for half a year at least is I'm going to move to a space where it's slower. I'm going to get to a space where my life isn't as busy, where it's a little easier, where I can be closer to family, where the things that are more important to me, I can now focus on. You know, again, I don't feel far from that position myself. How do we get there? How do we make life better? And certainly this entire pause of a year and a half has put that thought in so many people's minds, and our trends will continue to move in those directions. Now, I assure you, business doesn't want that trend to continue. They're going to want to ramp it up again and get everybody fully engaged and back on that hamster wheel.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens and who wins out.
Well, you know, one of the things that I wanted to add into this, because I've been reading it, is that it's not just retirees, but it's people that are thinking of early retirement.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they're 5-6 years away. As you said, this is all kind of, you know, avalanching into, big life decisions.
Clearly.
Now it's safe.
Retirees, you're expecting to do it. And maybe then a little earlier. But I'm talking people in their 30s and 40s.
Right.
That are saying, gosh, do we really have to stay on? Does it always have to be this hard? Certainly being in LA, you know, the cost of rent, the cost of housing, those are the things that we talk about that we're always being pushed up against, you know, affordability. So, you know, interest rates continuing out 2 years. You hear things like, well, they're keeping the party going, you know, but in the end, if the party goes on too long, people crash. And things end up bad. So I don't know, 2 interest rate hikes by the year 2023. That's a long way away. Yeah. That's keeping the party going. It certainly is. And I'm not an economist. I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's keeping the cycle continuing that we're in the middle of.
Yep.
So,
yep. Okay. Well, great. And so what was our answer to these clients in terms of the local picture, Darren?
right.
Like it's things are changing, but are they changing that much?
Yeah, and this article says it. It again, well written. It for us, the way we phrased it, just in very raw terms, now you're getting 10, 20, 30 offers on properties that are desirable properties. That number may go down to 5, may go down to 10.
Right.
And it's going to limit it. And we'll see when we look at our inventory today that, again, fewer and fewer properties are selling an enormous amount over list price.
Right.
But look, it takes 2 to be a multi-counter and be a competitive situation.
And that's it.
And that's all it takes. So it's still a competitive market, and that there's no end in sight in LA for that. The competition, maybe just less of it. So rather than approaching a property, you should still move fast.
Yep.
Be aggressive if you want something, but maybe it's not going to go up 20% on the offer. So that aggressiveness, you need to gauge that aggressiveness.
Yeah.
But you still need to be aggressive and move fast. By no means does a buyer have an advantage in this market.
Yeah.
Still, and is not expected to anytime soon.
So when is the perfect moment? I guess that's up to you. So.
Right. It's individual. It's you've said many times, Joe. It's your personal situation. If it makes sense for you to buy right now. We have people that, ask this question to us and you got to look at your tax structure. If you're a high earner, you're a reasonably high earner if you can afford to buy a house these days. You're paying a good amount in taxes. It's truly just buying a property alone could help you pay a lot less in taxes and then gain in appreciation. And doing that sooner rather than later could be worth it, even if you feel you're slightly overpaying for the property.
Okay. Well, there you go, guys. I put the link in the chat, so feel free to check out this article yourself.